Difference between ISS, ISE versus CSS, CSE in clinical trials. What's the difference? Why does it matter? A regulatory perspective. Explain simply. Introduction. Now ISS and ISE and CSS and CSE are often confused because they both involve integrated analysis, but they do differ in certain purposes in clinical trials, right? Now ISS stands for Integrated Summary of Safety, ISE stands for Integrated Summary of Efficacy, CSS stands for Clinical Summary of Safety, and CSE stands for Clinical Summary of Efficacy. ISS and ISE. Now, what is the purpose of these two terminologies? Now, these are the required components for NDA and BLA submissions to the FDA as per 21 CFR 314.50. Now, this ISS, it integrates all safety data across multiple clinical trials for a drug, given a comprehensive view of safety, for example, adverse events, lab tests, and vital signs. And ISE integrates all efficacy data from multiple studies to demonstrate overall effectiveness of the study for its indication. Now, what does integrate mean? Integrate is nothing but combination in a very simple language, and multiple studies is nothing but you will have around say 10 to 12 studies, or in some scenario you will have 2 to 3 studies. So you're combining two different studies or more than 10 to 12 studies into one, and you're giving the combined analysis, that is the integrated analysis. That is what is ISS and ISE. Now the key points here is they are the regulatory submission summaries which are based on pooled data sets, and those are created based on the multiple studies like I explained earlier, and they are usually focused on entire development program for safety and efficacy, and it is usually submitted in module 5 clinical study reports of the CTD for FDA. CSS and CSE. Now, the purpose of these terminologies are high-level clinical summaries, which is included in Module 2 of the CTD, which is the common technical document. Now, they summarize the safety and efficacy data in a concise format for regulators to quickly understand key findings. So, there will be a specific format that you need to follow for submission. Unlike ISS and ISE, these are not detailed pooled analysis, but they are the narrative summaries with tables and figures. So the difference is CSS and CSE is your narrative summaries TLF, whereas your ISS and ISE is nothing but your pooled integrated analysis submission. Now the key points here is CSS and CSE submissions, they are more likely for a executive summary for safety and efficacy. It typically includes 50 to 100 pages as compared to 1000 pages in ISS and ISE. Like I said, since it's a narrative summary, it will be a very short kind of a description or a short kind of interpretation. Hence, the pages are less as compared to ISS and ISE submission. It provides interpretation and conclusions rather than only the raw data analysis. The main difference between ISS and ISE is the level of detail. Now this is the detailed integrated analysis for the ISS and ISE, where it involves the multiple studies combination, whereas CSS and CSE is nothing but the summary and interpretation, just like a narrative summary. The CTD module is module 5 in ISS and ISE for the clinical study reports, whereas in CSS and CSE is module 2, which is similar to clinical summaries. The purpose for ISS and ISE is to provide full pooled analysis for regulatory decision, whereas for CSS and CSE is nothing to provide concise overview for quick review. So this is what the difference is. The data that is used in ISS and ISE, it is based on the integrated data sets. Like say for example, there is a multiple data sets around 10 to 12 studies, right? So the 10 to 12 studies that needs to be combined either vertically or horizontally, and based on that combined database you generate your derived data sets, SDTM data sets, ADAM data sets, and then do the TLF generation. So that's how data is utilized. Whereas in CSS and CSE, it is based on summaries of ISS and ISE and individual study reports. The real world analogy is, think of an ISS and ISE as a complete research thesis with all data and analysis, while the CSS and CSE is the abstract and executive summary that helps decision makers understand the findings without reading everything. So in short, ISS and ISE is nothing but integration or combination, whereas the CSS and CSE is nothing but the narrative or summary. Now, like say for example, if you come across this interview question, like what is the difference between ISS and ISE? Please explain in one line sentence. So this is how you can give the answer. ISS and ISE are detailed integrated analysis of safety and efficacy across multiple trials or multiple studies, whereas CSS and CSE are concise clinical summaries and interpretations of safety and efficacy for regulatory review. Many thanks for watching my video and happy learning. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a feedback comment. Many thanks for your support and having great connection.